There we go. That's
All right.
Thank you.
okay. So Michelle and Becky need PDF.
So what you've got here is the latest revision. It looks quite a bit different than the one we had the last time we met. I've included the 7-year analysis through RSU 10 for the budget increases, as well as the new draft budget on the right-hand side, assessments and projected increases, and what mill rates increases look like based on the numbers that we've been working with. So
I assume you got my email with all the little things I mentioned.
I think I did.
Okay.
Does it reflect on here?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
It looks good.
You removed the meeting.
Well, partially the reason for that is because this is, every time I blink, this thing has to change because information has been changing and the expectations from, well, we keep getting more information and we keep hearing feedback, and by the time this ever really becomes a real document, I don't think it'll go out of the USPS. So at this point, I was just working on coming up with something that we could have at various locations, perhaps businesses here in Buckfield, town offices in Hartford and Sumner, and anywhere else somebody thinks it might be able to be living to be picked up and read. So for that matter, I really tried to focus on what some of the feedback was from the community to, hey, these are the numbers. This is what we're coming up with right now, and this is what's real information to us at this current time. So can't do anything more than that, right?
Right.
So,
Obviously, it didn't get sent to the printers. It didn't get mailed out. There were some problems with the Postal Service regulations for where whatever that fancy word is for
right.
every door direct mailer postage thing.
And frankly, since then, we've had some pretty strong feedback, which inspired a redesign times 6 or so.
Okay.
I don't know. At some point, I think we reach a point where we feel like this is good enough to distribute. And
For today, and knowing that it's going to change again.
Right. But that's why I really focused on what some of those pieces of feedback were that people truly want to hear.
Okay.
So as far as this brochure, what would be the next step to mail it? I mean, to get to that point where we can mail it?
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say we're not in the window of time where we could get this to the printers with a 3-day turnaround they would likely need for Cam's email to us, and then the Postal Service has a 48-hour window of turnaround. And I mean, that's best case scenario. We were able to get this to printer tomorrow. That everybody might get it in their mailbox by next Friday, but I personally believe that the public forum on the 18th will be our very first public forum. I believe that a lot will come up out of discussion that community brings, and it might inform more necessary changes of this. So I think that we should put our money into mailing out. And, if we're going to spend the money on mailers, do that after the 18th so we can really gather some feedback. I mean, honestly, that RSU public forum really snuck up on me. I did not realize we were going to be having that ahead of the other town public forums.
I actually didn't either.
I guess I didn't read that far ahead in the withdrawal statute. However, and there may be more changes that we want to make to this even tonight. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm looking for criticism at this point. So everybody, at least on the committee and the visitors here tonight, look at it, see what you think, and at some point I'd like to stop revising it. So,
are you planning on having any of these available when you have the hearing on the 18th, public forum.
I guess we could talk about that in preparation for the forum.
I think it would be good to have some.
I mean, even if we just print them locally
Right,
here,
right.
because
Just enough.
how many would we need? 100?
Yeah,
I
maybe,
mean,
if that. Yeah.
In the current draft that it's in, I feel like we're at the point where we could prepare this to have in some local establishments, because there's some good information on this, and
Yes.
it's accurate to where we are today.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine anything that we've overlooked to this very moment. So I'd like to, I seek approval to at least get some distributed to local facilities, including being presented on the 18th.
Did you say the August 18th isn't listed on here?
It is, I mean, I could revise it one more
But I
time.
like
I could, now that we're not,
mailing it
yep, I absolutely could. Yep, but I took it off just because I knew we weren't gonna be putting this in the mail,
in
so,
time.
yeah.
Also, like, could you put there'll also be 3 additional meetings?
I can actually add all that back on there now that we're not worrying about where the postage stuff is gonna go, so
do
yes.
we already have the dates for those meetings?
No, and that's, I actually
That's part of
brought
tonight, right?
That's the selectman thing.
I brought it up
When
to-
the vote happens.
our select board last Tuesday, and we have it on our agenda to make a decision on the 17th, which is the day before this, a forum date.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys can work on it as well to get,
Great.
We have a meeting on Tuesday, so
okay.
figure it out.
We have one that night, so, but yes, we'll work out a date.
Do you have,
Yours is on the 18th?
Yes.
Didn't you guys vote?
I thought you guys were moving it to a different day that week.
No, we were doing it earlier.
Yeah, we moved ours a day sooner in Hartford.
That way it wouldn't
No, I mean,
interfere.
we're doing it like before the meeting.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. Whoa.
Yes.
Okay,
If we can't have the exact dates to put on this trifold, we could post the exact dates on the 18th on a
Yeah.
poster.
it would really be nice to have them on here, but
It would.
But again, we'll probably have a mailer, one that actually goes out.
True, that's a good point.
So,
Yeah, these are urgent to get out just around the
Yeah, I would say
community.
get as many of these out by the 18th, just to get as much information out as possible.
I can easily have the forum thing added back on the rear page. So
Okay.
that's simple. I'll do that. And maybe we can make a motion to approve pending that change.
Adding the August.
Adding the August 18th forum and more forum meetings to come. Does anybody feel like comfortable with that?
Stating that there'll be one in each town.
Yeah, if anybody has the previous 6 versions of this thing, it says it on there somewhere for you to,
Got this one.
yeah, that one should have
Yeah,
it.
right there.
Yeah, and it mentions the 3 town forums, so, yep, absolutely.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
I think Nick did.
Okay. Is there a second?
my only concern with that is I believe we have to have a further conversation about the total expenditure budget.
No
Neil,
worries.
you had a bunch of questions about it in an email. Is it 12.4? Is it 12.6? And I couldn't really track with that.
Right,
And-
so Nick actually changed it to the last version that Connie and I had worked on, which is what's in this new
I think that's
flyer,
what's in the
the 12,390.
reorganization plan.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
obviously, you have other stuff you want to bring up about adding stuff on the budget anyway, which would change that number anyway. So,
So can we just defer that
Yep.
approval till later in the meeting then?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move to the August 18th meeting format. I have no idea what it's going to look like.
My understanding is that it is going to be called by Chad, the chair of the board, and that is all that I really understand from the email that we got from Superintendent.
Okay.
But a public forum should be, the public has an opportunity. I mean, every other public forum I've been a part of that's been related to RSU business or MSAD believe I'm on.
Okay, there you go.
Yes. There was an allotment of a set number of minutes. Typically, the public comment period is a 3-minute window of time for anybody who wants to come to the microphone. So you sign your name on a piece of paper, and then whoever moderates that, and I'm assuming this is going to be Chad, because there hasn't been any talk of a moderator, name would be called, and you would come up to the microphone, and that's just my past experience on public forums for the RSU.
I agree with you. I've been there, and the board of directors was up on the stage and the public was down. If we have a say in it, I would like us all to be on the same level. Even if you put tables there for people to sit at to answer questions, I don't think the board should be up on stage. I think they should be.
I just have a question about the form. Do you mean like the budget validation? What else are you talking about?
As far as public forums,
Yeah.
I've visited other RSUs that have held public forums to debate controversial topics. So that was the
Oh,
standard.
I just assumed there was going to be a question and answer thing.
And it very well may be.
Well, the last meeting we held here, we talked about, and Kristen Collins mentioned that we should have the right to present at that. And I presented a presentation a couple weeks back, but I've kind of had my eggs into this basket and some other stuff like life. So I got to transition back over to that, which is why I really want to just check this off as being done at some point so I can move on from it and stop changing it. And then I can work on the presentation if we so choose to present.
That would make sense.
I think we want to present our findings and information at that forum. I think that'd be a wise choice on our part.
I agree.
If you need to have the ability to share a PowerPoint, maybe sending an email to the technology director, Brian Carey, would be a good idea.
Yeah,
Who's that?
Brian Carey.
Brian Carrier. Okay.
And I'm not clear if it's going to be happening where the forum for the ad hoc committee's results were in the cafeteria auditorium section or if it's in the gym. I'm not sure. I know we were at about max capacity for the ad hoc public forum that night.
Got it.
That's his email address right there. ecarrier@rsu10.org. And I would also, just out of
Courtesy to Matt
thank you.
Gilbert.
That was the word I was looking for, courtesy, if you want to also CC Matt Gilbert into it as well.
Yes,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Do you need Matt's email?
I have that one.
Okay.
Thank you. RSU10.org.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is the individual town public forums, and I know that Sumner's select board meeting is Tuesday, and they will choose a date
Okay.
then. And have you chosen a date, or you're going to decide next time?
We're choosing on August 17th.
Okay.
Now, is the expectation from each town that they would like to have all members of the withdrawal committee there, whether they're from that town or not?
You know, I don't. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
My answer to that is yes.
Yes, that's what I think.
Okay.
That's my opinion, but
All right.
we worked as a unit to get to this point. I feel like we should work as a team to answer these questions because everybody has different involvements. I think that would be wise.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. There's a motion on the table for the withdrawal/reorganization committee to go to each of the public forums.
Can't make it to the first one. I can't make
Right.
it on the 18th. I
Okay.
already had previous
I
plans.
think we're specifically referring to the community one.
Community one.
When they're set.
When they're set, I can do that.
That-
If the dates allow for people.
Yes.
Right, so maybe that's the other thing too, is maybe we should also
out the
make
dates.
sure that all 3 dates are separate.
Yes. Yes. All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Are you recording these motions in writing?
I'm trying to right now.
Make sure I didn't.
Mm-hmm. I'm a slow writer. Okay. One off the list. We've completed that one. Okay. Do you have anything under new business, Nick?
Yeah, I do actually.
I figured you did.
So I spent some time last weekend and a few days this week trying to get a little bit of an example of a couple of towns that have withdrawn. I sent it to Kristen and Connie as well. So they had it just a couple, about 30 minutes ago. So, but starting with the Richmond withdrawal, it just kind of looks at the budget that they were working with and what they were estimating versus what they're currently spending locally. I don't want to read this to everybody, so people want to just kind of take a moment to look at them or look at them later, but
Yeah, I found this interesting. Did you see how RSU2 has fared after Richmond left?
that would have been interesting. I didn't actually look at that to see how their numbers.
I see what you did on 56, which is.
Yeah, given that 56 was actually a little bit more of an interesting example because they withdrew from 10 just like we're exploring. Kind of looked at the 9 years after they left, and I thought one of the most interesting things was that their projected or starting budget when they withdrew was 12.95, and when they, currently they're looking at 15.9, but they only faced a 22.8% overall increase over that 9-year period versus what we all know we've seen through RSU 10, which is 62. So 62% increase is.
I think we gotta fix that.
Oh, possibly.
Because the 45 million includes, so it's like 38 million, isn't it? And that's still quite an increase, but can someone do that?
Well, if you look at
My own calculator around here.
If you look at the 7-year budget analysis on the brochure, it went.
Yeah, you have, it's 42 million. So they're up around 38 million, I think, right now, minus the
school.
the school.
Yep.
And I think like the 42 million must have been partial school reimbursement. So, let's see.
45 million.
There are some buses in there too that went through, it's not 100% reimbursement.
Right, I would just take off that one thing because buses are probably in the 27.7 million and all the way through. The school is the only
You're
big
probably
significant change.
Yeah, you're right.
So if someone can do 27.73 million to 38, and I don't know what the actual budget issue is, 38 something for RSU 10.
I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, I don't even.
You just want to divide by 38 million, or you want to divide it by the exact number?
I'm fine with close enough.
Thank you. $7.3 increase. 7.3% increase.
That's it from 27.7.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very big.
It's not.
talking about the difference between RSU 56 and RSU 10?
No, the difference between 25, 26, and 26, 27. Because fiscal year 26, 27 has 45.05 million, and it's 38 and change, not 45.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so from 2017
Oh.
18, because that's what we're trying to do. And I don't know how to do that now.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the brochure.
I
You
was-
on the,
I was looking at this because you have starting budget after 56 left of 27.73 million. We know now that it's like 38 million,
oh, okay.
not 45. So what is the percentage increase from 27.73 in 2017 to 38, whatever it is now?
Well, I guess I'm just trying to understand that because are you saying that the 25, 26 budget is also not accurate on this brochure?
Right, because there has to be a partial reimbursement there for the school, because there's no way they went to 36.9 to 42.9 in a year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was a lesser amount until the whole project got completed. Once it was completed.
And now I think it's roughly 7 million they get in reimbursement, so their budget's around 38 something.
Okay.
So darn.
I feel like it was around 5 million. I think the other two,
I thought it was 7, but I
but yeah,
think the 2 million is,
yeah.
sorry.
I don't have it in front of me, so.
Yeah, we can come back to it.
But anyway, yes, it was very interesting, and I would like to go back and see how it's changed for RSU 2 after Richmond left, which would be interesting. Sometimes it's kind of hard. It's like comparing apples to oranges, especially since our ED 279 is so minimal from what the state gave us. And then another question was if RSU 10's additional local is 7.5 million, why are we at 4.5 million? When they have so 1,660 students, and I don't know what number we're using, 482, 507. To have 4.5 million in additional local is crazy.
Telephone poles. Public Utilities Commission.
Yeah.
That's what Mexico is.
I said RSU 10's additional local that they need to raise is $7.5 million with 1,660 students. Why is our additional local at our rural 3 towns with under 500 students at $4.5 million? Good question. In my opinion, I think we could do better, but, we're at this point.
One thing I was thinking back to this brochure here is maybe for years 24, 25, 25, 26, 26, 27, we could put a little asterisk just as a notation that there's partial or full school, Mount Valley Community School reimbursement.
Of that? Gotcha.
That can
That's
skew
where
the
she's
numbers.
coming from.
I'm not sure if 24, 25 was in there. I know 25, 26, 26, 27.
What about this?
So we could adapt.
24, 25 looks about right, but I'm
They're saying,
So basically, you would have to look up that 8279 for that year.
not
I know what
sure.
that number is, which I can get to you, and then you take it off that, correct?
gotcha. Okay.
Because that's debt that the state is paying for the school.
Okay.
So,
Nick, did you hear the comment that maybe the last two in that column for 25, 26, and 26, 27, maybe putting an asterisk for the budget total, 42 million and 45 million, maybe put an asterisk there, and then you can move the asterisk down below. It says either partial or full Mount Valley Community School reimbursement, or
Right.
state subsidy, or whatever. We can figure out the wording, but
Yeah, we either adjust the numbers or we put an asterisk for sure.
Is that, as I mentioned before, some of this data will be a little skewed because of that
Mm-hmm.
coming in one side and going
Right.
right out immediately on the budget.
Apparently it is.
45 million is what we checked the box for on voting day. I'm assuming.
Yes,
And it wasn't broken up separately.
correct.
Right. And the other thing too is anytime someone pulls up the budget for RSU 10, they're going to see the 45 million, not 45 million minus the 7 million.
Right.
Right.
And
So I
that
think
the
an
revenue is
asterisk.
higher too.
Right. So even though it may skew it a little bit, I think having the asterisk might be more,
Confusing.
or no, I'm thinking less confusing than actually putting
Yeah.
the 38 million or what it is, because then people are like, well, you saying it's 38 million, but I know I voted for 45 million. you know,
Right,
and-
right.
Right. I believe the most current ED 72 shows it as it's completed, but when you look at the year prior's ED 279, it's confusing. Half of the reimbursement is in one section and half of it is in the other. So,
Yeah, because I'm looking at RSU 10's ED 279 for this new year, and they have it's split into two sections. One is a reimbursement in November for 5.8 and change million, and then in May 1.5 million and change, which equals a 7.467
that's where I was
million.
getting the 5 million.
Right.
for.
So you have to add those two together because obviously it's still interest. But either way, it's not a tax burden. But I think an asterisk is going to be a little bit less confusing
Like there's
than a
something
completely
unique
different
there.
number. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I understand that now.
Outlier.
Yep.
But that's just my opinion.
No, I think you're right, because somebody could go look it up and say they don't even know what they're talking about.
Right. And then if someone does bring it up, oh, but 7 million of that is for the school, you say, yeah, and on this brochure, we have an asterisk that says,
Right.
and maybe along with that asterisk, put in that $7 million number for 26, 27, and then I can get you the number for 25, 26. That way it's part of the asterisk.
Yep.
So it doesn't seem like we're trying to hide anything, but we're trying to keep people on the same path.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. Thanks.
Great work, Nick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really is.
very nice. I wouldn't throw it away if it came in the mail.
Yeah. I wish we could answer Michelle's question though about.
Yeah, me too.
Because of the 75-25.
Oh, the 75-25, I watched you guys the other night, and I have to comment, because that was crazy.
That's what they're doing now.
Whoever came up with the amount to do the additional local and the additional local only per pupil was brilliant to see it.
Right.
But to add back in your discussion about what the state makes you pay, made no sense to me whatsoever.
Right. Well, that was
Because
Cameron's
we can't
recommendation.
do anything about that.
Right.
We were just supposed to be checking fairness on additional
Right.
local. And another thing, there was a woman here at the beginning of the meeting,
Mhm.
and you guys said, well, you know, we're a very small percentage of the vote up there, like 31%, and she made a comment about, well, isn't the same thing going to happen to us? Because she was from Sumner. And then you turned around and just caved when Cameron said Buckfield won't vote for that. And if you came close to just the additional local, when you did your formula, was it you that did that, or Becky? That did per pupil with just the additional local?
Just look, yes.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And wherever you came up where it was close and fair for all of us is where you should have went, because why is it Sumner and Hartford's business whether the state makes Buckfield pay more? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And the additional local is the only thing that we can control and spread fairly between the three towns. But anyway,
The only concern I have with
it's my
that,
quarterback, you know, whatever you call that.
Monday morning.
yeah, Monday
Yeah.
morning. The only concern I have with that is to put that in perspective is we should also, which we kind of did a little bit, is rather than a per pupil, is divided by property tax payer.
Well, no, because per pupil makes sense.
If you
You
have
want to know how
kids,
much we're costing per kid, and that's the way the state compares.
I know. I'm just saying that
So when
someone.
we were doing that, it was a good way to break it down small enough.
Right.
So we could see how equally divided it was between 3 towns.
I'm just saying that at these meetings, you're gonna get someone who has no kids, who probably never had kids going to the school, and they may come up and they may just say that, why didn't you look at it by the property taxes? I'm not saying we should go with that, I'm just saying that it was just another way to look at it. That's all.
It was confusing, but yes, I get what you're saying. But yeah, it was a good idea to show it that way. And we'll see how it goes.
Okay, where are we?
I don't know, lost my train of thought. We're still under new business.
We are.
Yes, Nick, this was awesome. Great information.
It really is.
Yeah.
You should share it. on Facebook.
Yes.
Should we put this like poster sized for the 18th?
Well, I was wondering if we felt comfortable sharing this type of information, and if we did, then we could have a table with handouts at the beginning.
Okay.
Just asterisk again,
Right.
same thing for the brochure, asterisk for the one that's.
45 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I give you
cool.
both years.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else to add, Nick?
No, I was going to start working on one that did a deeper dive into the BHS one, but I'm trying to answer the question that Michelle just sort of brought up as to why is it cost per pupil? What is the factor that is making our numbers so much higher than one would expect them to be when you compare ourselves against RSU 9, RSU 56, because we're still seeing some dramatic increases, it looks like.
So when you say increases, are we talking about per pupil? Because I don't see a per pupil on your 96.
Exactly. That's what. Well, I was doing some research on it before I left, and didn't.
We're not, I don't know, per pupil, I only brought the per pupil thing up to say that it was a great idea when we were doing the additional local. I didn't bring per pupil cost up about anything else.
Okay.
I just wanted to say our additional local was extremely high with the amount of students in comparison to RSU 10's additional local for the amount of students that they have.
Right.
Property values up there are a lot less. Like my son just bought a house up there because it's over here.
Yep.
So where are you getting RSU 10 per pupil price?
I didn't say per pupil. I said additional local is $7.5 million
additional local.
in this last budget.
Sorry, gotcha.
They are probably higher receivers in some regard, but again, that's a huge difference. So
Well, the other thing too
the
is.
thing of it is we needed to look at our staffing levels. Our central office with 4 people
Right.
is too big.
I don't know if we can do it without the 4 people.
Yeah, but I don't think that's driving the massive variance that we're
Well,
looking
the
to
state
overcome.
reimburses very little for central office. So immediately, all the central office costs go on the taxpayers, which would be your additional local.
Right.
So, at this point, we have a budget that we need to make sure we have the right number for the
As
public.
best we can, yeah.
I mean, to me, I would like to look at a few things between now and November.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know Jason had brought up some stuff at the town meeting, things that we might have missed. This is what we're going with on the 18th. This is what we've turned in. But that doesn't mean that we're done.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Anyways, I'll keep digging.
And to thoroughly confuse people, you should put the Public Utilities Commission
Yeah, oh yeah,
point out there.
that'd be,
Crazier.
yeah.
Are you talking about because it's some things that aren't calculated in the property values? And that's why certain towns don't pay as much as others, yeah.
Right.
And that's another problem with basing 75% on valuation and less on students because of things like that. I mean,
But I think our communities are a little bit more balanced than, like Mexico is the offset that really throws us. And at least we don't have, I mean, we're very somewhat equal, you know, we're by comparison anyways.
right? Until someone puts a solar farm in that's on a tip of some kind. Is that what you call it?
I don't know, what'd you say? Oh, what?
It's a tax something where they don't pay property taxes.
Oh, okay.
For a certain industry because people bring them into the town or bring them into the state.
You might have nailed that, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the situation in Roxbury with the windmills.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why we're looking.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that just fall upon the town select board to have a policy in place that they couldn't have tax exempt or something?
You have to have an ordinance in place.
Right, so,
You'd have to have an ordinance in place, but neither here nor there. It's probably not happening
Right.
in these little towns, but that's how things like that happen.
Still suggest you get one in place, Buckfield.
Yeah.
You already have one?
We have are you talking about solar? Yeah. Yeah.
We just did it.
Okay, well, let's do the next thing. We call that a data center.
Data center.
Data center. We'll bring them in. They're not paying any taxes.
Nick, I have an off the subject question. Does Camp Waukeela pay taxes?
I wish I could answer that, I'm really not quite sure.
Probably nonprofit.
You think it's a
I think they're
nonprofit?
a nonprofit.
I'm
Do
pretty,
you really? Do
Imagine.
you know what they charge?
Yeah, I do. That's why I imagine.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so.
Nonprofit.
Every
Yeah.
nonprofit sucks off taxpayers. You ought to know that by now.
I do.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe.
Nobody's getting rich from those.
Have you ever heard of them giving out scholarships?
right?
I played horse
You
camp
know,
with
it
those
just,
kids. and
the idea
yeah,
just came to my head today as I drove by it twice on my way to and from Augusta. I was like, Camp Waukeela, huh?
Is that Hartford?
Yeah, it's in Hartford. They charge big bucks for kids to go
Yes, they
to.
do.
Says they're subject to local property taxes.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Thank you.
For-profit residential summer camp.
There you go.
For profit.
The answer.
There you go.
Thank you.
Other new business?
Yeah, is there any other new business?
No.
Is there, we should do objectives for our next meeting. I think we need to review the town forum dates.
Yeah, so we should have those set in stone by the 18th, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
We will only have one of those in place if we're meeting next week, right?
Correct.
Sumner's will be in place.
Mm-hmm.
Do
So we
have
get first dibs on the date.
do we have a range of time that we're looking at, that we want them scheduled within?
I don't know.
It's dictated by the election.
Yeah, so you have to
Backtrack from the
backtrack the
November.
numbers. You have to have them done by a certain date, amount of days before. I can't remember, if it's 30 or 45.
It's not 45. I asked
I
about
think
that.
it's-
It could
I think
be
it's
one.
30.
Or something.
Yeah, I think
You
it's
have to
30.
take into consideration the absentee ballot.
Right.
So,
Check with.
That's what I was thinking, we ought to get them set up in like the first, second, third weeks of September. Which, if you think about it, August 18th to then is not that quick a turnaround either, so we gotta.
Yeah, town forum dates and format. Okay. Anybody else want to add anything else to our objectives for next meeting?
Maybe just, I know that we talked about the format for those meetings, but also kind of, maybe if we can bring some possible questions that people might ask, that way we can kind of prepare a little bit, so
Yeah?
we're not caught off guard.
Do you want to do your PowerPoint at each of the town forums?
Oh, I think we should. We should have the same literature, the same presentation. That'll. The heck do we have for days left between now and 18?
Not too many.
Was it the 6th today? 12?
12.
So,
12 days.
so I have to have that done by next week. That's cool.
We have another meeting next week.
Yes, we do.
We meet every week.
13. Yes, that's right. We do.
The RSU is responsible for posting in the newspaper, right?
The one on the 18th.
Forum, yeah. We just have to post in the towns, right?
Yes.
They should have brought that information to you already to get posted. Did they not do that?
She retired.
Oh, that's right.
I'm not there, but I can go check. She was retired. Yes.
I'm not used
I
to
can go
this
check.
yet.
Right up the road.
That law changed, by the way, though. They don't have to put the paper anymore.
Yeah, I did notice. I think they just changed the law on that this year. I think there's no local paper, which technically there isn't.
Or if they come in the mail, you're reading news a week late.
Yes.
Yes.
Snail mail is kind of slow.
Okay. Next meeting is here on the 13th at 6:30.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's
Any more comments?
Hartfield's turn, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
I do read some of the Facebook comments here and there as I come across them, but
Should stay off Facebook.
by all means, I'm not scouring it. However, I did read a comment about the committee cannot get rid of a special ed director, and I am the one that was probably in that conversation about it, and I understand we cannot get rid of a special ed director. We currently have a full-time special ed director for RSU 10, and that full-time position we're not looking as a committee to take on a full-time special ed director, per my memory, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Part-time. Okay, so this is a new position, unique to this new school district, if that's what the voters vote for. So, and it may be that comment was talking about an assistant special ed director, of which there have been numerous ones in RSU 10. That is not a position that this new school district would have, an assistant special ed director. So I just wanted to clarify if that was misunderstood from the last meeting.
I think I saw that comment, and I thought it was when you were talking about the transition budget. That's another thing I wanted to make a comment on, but I'll wait my turn. But I think it was.
You are correct.
Saying that
It
it
was
was-
in context with the transition budget, and
It wasn't.
I believe
We didn't need it like
Connie's-
in January. We could wait until July 1st because that IEP or whatever.
That's
But
what
I didn't-
Connie reiterated, yes, that all of the IEPs should be in place. There really would be, for Connie's advisement, there would not be substantial work for a special ed director to be doing before July 1st.
Right.
That's where that came in. That's the only time I remember you saying anything
Right.
about that.
That actually helps me, because refreshing my memory now.
Right.
Um,
Because technically, RSU 10 special ed director is still in charge of special ed until July 1st.
Sure.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Right.
And second comment was really in regards to the overlying budget amount of 12.4 million that is in our withdrawal agreement. And there's been various conversations, confusion amongst committee members, and I would like to say that Connie sent me a phone message that my phone is all broken and I didn't get it until just before the meeting. So maybe Connie can weigh in on the topic of the wages and benefits and what the budget is that we submitted to the DOE. What was it, 26, 27? Was it 27, 28? And if we can get that question answered by Connie, that might clear up a lot of confusion that's been going on.
Connie?
So I'd be happy to start, and then I'm going to ask Kristen Collins to join me regarding her experience with other withdrawal committees. So our task is to prepare an estimated budget to meet, and you sent me the piece from the 22-step process, which is correct. So we used the best information that we had. The state gave us the 26-27 ED 279. They do not give information for the next year. They only give it 1 year in advance. And so that's the information that we use. We moved all salaries. Anyone who was eligible for an increase was moved up. And we anticipated other increase costs. And those included some technology needs and other things that went into the draft budget that was put into the agreement that both RSU 10 and this board signed and then went on to the DOE. And further, and I'm going to pause here for just a minute. We used the best information that we had available. And the new school committee will refine that budget for 27-28. But Kristen, did you wanted to speak to this in other communities and how that has gone?
Yeah, so if I understand the question, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding, it was sort of, as we're projecting the budget, should we be using this coming year's salaries and expenditures, basically? Or is it okay to sort of rely on the 26, 27 numbers and create a budget based on that? And so the exercise that all of the groups that I've worked on this with, it's you start with the year you're in because you know inputs for that year and you know the DOE contribution for that year. Since we can't project what the revenue from DOE from the state is in a following year, we don't try to sort of forecast what that revenue is going to be.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. However, we absolutely know that the contracts have these percentages built in. I know the administrator's contract has, I have to pull it out, but I believe it's a 5% increase for the first year, a 4% increase for the next year, and then a 5% increase for the following year. We know that that's different maybe from the teachers' contracts that have various steps that you would have to, that might be different based on how many teachers you have at which step level. And I honestly don't know how to calculate something like that, but I believe if the statute is saying that the budget needs to reflect the first operational year of the new RSU, then we know we're going to have those increases to be wrestling with. So when I reread the statute, looking through it with the eyes of first operational year of the new school, that to me it's not mincing any words. So I believe it would be wisdom to put that in there to reflect that cost will be there.
Except that we can't say on the other side again what the revenue piece of that budget's going to be. So we're forced to either estimate, the state contribution or estimate the costs. And it's one or the other. And it feels like, because state revenue sharing is fickle, and because it's also based on and increased by some, percentage based on the increased expenses, it makes sense to use a year where you know what the state contribution was.
I understand what you're saying. It does put us in a quandary. I think the statute needs to be revised, but that's a whole other conversation.
The fact that the statute has been revised to require the budget be in the agreement in the first place is really unfortunate, I think. It just doesn't fit in a withdrawal agreement. It makes it sound like you're bound to that number, or something like it, when in fact the withdrawal group has no control over that number. But the way I would explain it in short is, yes, this is a first year of operation budget that we've created, but we've created it based on what we know, which is this year's numbers.
Okay, so you call this the year, if this passes in November, you're calling November through June 30th, the first year of operation?
First year of operation will be 2728. That's that budget.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
I see what you're saying about that, and I agree, because we can't project what the DOE is going to give us, even though we know the raises are coming, but we can't even predict insurance, so how can we even do that, right? Especially you're asking us to do something that RSU 10 doesn't do until February, March.
And that's
So that's a valid point. And then in the transition budget, any of this technology stuff, was that taken out of the budget that we made for the first year?
No,
Will it reduce the budget, some of the costs in the first year's
it
budget?
depends. If we have to apply it to before July 1st, then yes, it'd be taken out of that budget.
Mhm.
But if we apply it July 1st or after, then it's part of that budget. So it just depends on when whoever the IT manager is going to be, when they create the contracts for all the leases, for all the technology equipment, all the license and everything else.
Right, so some of it could be prepaid and lessen the budget for the following year.
It's possible, yes.
Anybody who has done an education budget knows that everything is up in the air until at least March.
Right.
So you're asking for a whole hell of a lot if you think we can do it 2 years ahead of time.
Because the other thing too is as long as we have an approximation, right, and then if it passes, then and a new school board is created, they're going to have a new ED 279. When that time comes, they're going to put a lot more of these numbers together, and then they're going to start looking also at other positions, whether they're going to, do we need them, do we not need them, and then in the end, it'll end up being the towns that say, no, we're not going to accept that budget, go back to the drawing board, and then they have to start cutting more positions.
And in all honesty, we will have a professional business manager.
Right, at that time.
Who will be whittling this down. That is the job
Right.
of the business manager. We are a committee of 12 people who we know what we know, and we do the best research we can, but.
Right.
It's not going to be perfect, that's for sure.
So, and is now time to talk about the individual 279s that came today?
You had some come today?
I didn't see nothing.
Oh, I meant Kristen.
Yeah, I distributed them.
Kristen Collins. So as a follow-up to the meeting we had last week or the week before, we asked the DOE to do 279s for individual towns. And we had a placeholder that if an education service center was formed, what might be gained in terms of revenue and or state support for things like technology, student information centers, an executive director / superintendent. And that came today. And Kristen, do you think, Kristen Collins, we want to talk about that?
I mean, you can get into just what it seems to show numerically,
Okay.
generally, you know.
I went through each of your individual 279s, and I was most interested in the state support for individual towns. And so I went through it and I thought, well, this is interesting. And so I found that by going through individual towns and forming an ESC, you will get an additional $494,873 in state aid. And I thought I must have missed something, but I called Charlotte Ellis and Paula, and they confirmed that yes, if you have three individual municipalities, you will have just about $500,000 more in state support. And that doesn't include the software, and it doesn't include the support for the superintendent slash executive director. So I wanted to bring that to your attention to follow up with what we talked about before. I know we're past the 11th hour, we're approaching the midnight hour, but since we discussed that, I thought it was important to share that with you tonight because it's substantial. One of the things you talked about a meeting or two ago was it worth doing? And it's real money to be considered.
Did you say that was per town or as a whole?
So as a whole, the three towns together, so individually, you would receive an additional $494,000 in change if you were three individual municipalities coming together to form an ESC. You'd have that much plus the software support plus the money for the executive director.
But I'm going to jump in because that subsidy is not being accounted for on the RSU side, presuming this group finds services to be shared in ESC with other RSUs or SAUs, right? So wouldn't it be a similar amount of subsidy coming from the state to the new RSU?
No, these are to individual towns. And I can do more study of why there's such a differential. I thought I made a mistake when I first looked at this. So, nonetheless, it would come to, maybe I'm not answering your question. I feel like I'm pretty inarticulate, but individually, if the three towns come together to form an ESC, the group would get that much more in state support. That's what I'm stumbling over.
Yeah, but I guess the question is that coming from state contribution in revenue sharing to the individual towns, or is it coming from the ESC subsidy?
No, it's coming from the additional general purpose aid to individual towns. And when you add it up, that's the difference when you put those three towns together and you add their GPS money, they're ahead about $500,000.
And if you took the ESC out of the equation and just looked at the impact for the three towns without an ESC,
so
is that
each town is worth about $30,000. And in individual items, each town has, I can't remember, one town has like 7,000, Buckfield has the most. But that's the per student ESC amount for the RSU if together as a whole. The real money is in general purpose aid that would come to towns individually.
So that is just the differentiation in the structure.
Yes,
by
that's
being
right.
individualized. And this, for everybody's, edification, this is just an unintended consequence of the funding formula that when towns are on their own, generally they get more general purpose state aid. But as we talked about at the last meeting, what you're trading off for that is a lot of duplication of effort and a lot of, you're not spreading your risks over three towns necessarily.
Plus, didn't you also say that the state said that they weren't gonna allow it?
It's not that they won't allow it, period. They would have no choice. If this group wanted to delay the process and consider and rewrite the agreement to do this, the state would have no choice but to allow us to do that. It would obviously mean another year in the RSU. It would mean, again, just kind of a whole paradigm shift in what people have been talking about the whole time, which was more an idea of coming out as 3 towns and not as individuals with individual school boards that, may agree or disagree individually.
Like I said, it would work if we each had our own K-12 school and we were running each of our schools the way we wanted to, but we're not in that situation.
Right.
We're mixed. If we were separate and we were just sharing those services, it would be wonderful.
Did anybody ask if it was an option? I know we had talked about it to do more of a consolidated effort with the 3 towns, even still knowing that we had to have our own school boards. Because at one point we had talked about somebody was going to ask the state if it was possible to, yes, have this 3 towns individual, but more still work collaboratively. I don't know how that panned out or not.
I think that's the same thing.
Through an interlocal.
So a couple of things. The ESC can't own schools, so that just makes things really difficult. It would be one thing if the ESC could be an entity that owns schools, and then you're sort of jointly through the ESC board managing those schools collectively. But there is no way to accomplish that. So what we would have to do is create this network of, Buckfield has an agreement where Hartford Sumner is the school of guaranteed acceptance for its elementary school kids. And all the 3 towns have an agreement that Buckfield is the high school for guaranteed acceptance for all 3 towns' kids. And this is all completely doable, but certainly not on this timeline. And
You had just said we could do it after, right?
Was that?
I believe you had said that, yes, we could proceed with the path that we're on, but explore that after the fact.
I mean, if this is successful, and I think you mostly want it to be successful, and you get a year or 2 down the line and there's fiscal pressure to do so, and the numbers are still beneficial to withdraw separately, you absolutely could still do that. And that would give you a year or 2 to figure out the mechanics of that. Or if the RSU is working out great and you found opportunities for cost savings that, at least close in on this gap financially, then you'd abandon the idea of looking into the 3 separate towns. I think that would be my recommendation right now, to just stay the course. $400,000 is a lot of money, but we're not dealing with real numbers in a way that's really comparable apples to apples. There's so much to be done with the RSU that I think we just can't know what the real price differential is between those 2 options.
Right.
Kristen, may I ask a question?
Of course.
Did the legislature, in fact, reconfigure the funding formula and isn't it supposed to take effect in the 27-28 school year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have no idea what it looks
But
like.
we have no idea what it is, so.
Right.
Exactly. and when you're coming out as 3 separate towns, obviously it could have a potentially really differential impact on the 3 towns.
Right.
So for clarity's sake, I would just like to make the distinction between what you're proposing to us now would be, instead of reorganizing as an RSU, we would reorganize as 3 separate
Units.
educational service centers through our municipalities. But that is not really on the table because of the timeline right now. That is very different from us participating or offering an ESC to maybe some other districts in the way of sharing this particular role or that particular role, and we would receive some revenue from the state if we were to do that. Can you just explain that distinction for the people who are new to this term for ESC? And then secondly, what's the rough amount of money we would be looking at?
All right, I'm going to rely on Connie for the money part. But what we're discussing is there were essentially two options available to the withdrawing towns as far as structuring this. You could withdraw as 3 separate municipal school units where each school, each town has its own school board. And once you have that set up, then you have a structure to manage all the shared costs that those 3 towns are incurring. You know, are you sharing a superintendent? Are you sharing a technology director, a curriculum coordinator, or whatever those positions might be, through an educational service center? And an educational service center is basically a contractual agreement between 2 or more school units that allows you to share those services through sort of a joint agreement, and hopefully save costs in the process. And by doing so, you unlock access to subsidy that the state provides for joining into an ESC, where it contributes to the cost of some of those shared services. So that is option number 1. When you withdraw as individual towns, you have to figure out how the schools work and how those students are shifted between schools. Because not every one of these towns, not any one of these towns has the full range of educational opportunities in a school for K through 12. So that was the one option. And then option 2 is what this group has proceeded with all down the line. It's what the RSU 56 towns did, which is withdrawing as 3 towns that are contingent on everybody withdrawing together and forming a new RSU together. And now that new RSU can still join an educational service center with any 1 or more other school units, whether it be RSU 10, RSU 56, or even, a district across the state if it wanted to, if that made financial sense, and still unlock those benefits of subsidy from the state. The difference in that structure is you have 1 school board and 1 body of employees, and the RSU owns and operates all of the schools for everyone's collective benefit without any kind of odd sending and receiving agreements between the towns. So that is my overview of the 2 structures, and then I guess maybe Connie can speak to the financial differences.
So if you are part of an RSC, and this is one of the things that came today at 279, you'll get an additional, as an RSU, you get an additional 30,000 in state subsidy as part of your revenue. And then depending on what that interlocal agreement looks like, then you can get additional money reimbursed for things like your executive director or whatever other services that the ESC sells. The state will pay for your student information system software. They'll pay for your budget software, and they'll do that up front before the district actually begins operating. So though I think that's in a nutshell, the 2 differences, other than the additional subsidy that would come to your additional towns, which is what I explained a minute ago, that would be if you were individual municipal school districts.
So $30,000 is what we could get if we participated with an ESC with somebody else, but we were an RSU.
Right.
Am I hearing that correct? Okay, thank you.
Okay. And can I ask another question about revenue? So that's another one thing that we didn't consider. we couldn't budget for because who knows? Also, I thought I heard someone say that we don't have any students being sent here. So we don't have any of that money either.
We do, don't we?
Because I know
have
at least
superintendent's
3
agreements?
that are here from another place.
We have other students attending the Nizinska region on superintendent's agreements from the information we collected before. Correct, Connie? Can you pull up how many we have that are here from away?
I am going to have to search for that, Kristen. I don't.
It's not important. I just wanted to know if that's not calculated anywhere in our budget.
No.
No.
No. Because we didn't
I
know
do
that we had
remember
one.
we asked for that information, and we got some information. We did not get the specifics, because I remember that some districts reimburse or have a higher subsidy that would come to us than others, but I'm not sure we ever heard from RSU 10 about the distinctions between some of those districts. But we do have some, but they did not get factored in anywhere on our budget as
No,
revenue.
because the only revenue, on the revenue side that we have on the budget is what we get from the ED 279, and then taxes.
And they probably didn't put in any of those kids on that because it's sent from another district.
Right.
Right.
But at the same time, we also have to watch the other side of that sword, meaning that how many kids in the existing region get shipped out someplace else. So what we may make for money coming in, we may be paying out to honor those.
Yeah.
If we keep doing that, and or if this new school board decides to change policy.
I don't know. Usually a superintendent's agreement nowadays is very easy to come by.
So I'm just making, just making sure that we all know that there's also the other side too.
Right.
So,
Is that in our budget?
no, because we don't know who's getting shipped out.
Are we still on committee comment?
Yes, we are.
I have a question for Kristen, I guess, would probably be, Kristen Collins would be the right person. My question is, just from people that I've spoke with, will you be in attendance on the 18th?
Oh,
You will?
yep.
And I guess my other question is, and it's been great working with you guys and everything, we're not through the process, but we're getting to the point that we have these 3 forums after the 18th. So in thinking about it in terms of our budget and using as much money that was allocated out of this $150,000, like at what point do you come off the payroll? I guess is my question. Like how much do we need you between, now or the 18th and November, I guess is my question. I'm asking because I've had people ask me, so.
I think that between the two of us, Connie is the one who needs to keep working with the transition group as you need her to help solidify numbers and identify opportunities. And, we're trying to find an ESC that might make sense to court and get some idea of what services can be shared with whom. So I think you should continue to work with her on that. I think I should do the 18th. We should see how it goes.
Yep.
If there are a lot of wonky legal questions that you feel like, oh, thank God Kristen was here to get the heat off of us trying to answer this, then you can reserve the right to have me at the individual town ones. I don't expect you'll feel the need to after this first one, because you'll hear how I answer the wonky questions and can be able to do it yourself the next time around. And I agree, like we should be trying to find opportunities to save money so it can be diverted to transition.
So can I ask the same follow-up? I had the 18th in my calendar. Do you not want me to plan to attend that?
I'd have to ask the whole committee for that one. I mean, you have questions that you could probably answer. I would assume the 18th makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
I would think we would want you there.
Yes.
Okay.
Want you both there?
Yep.
Yes.
Do we need a
Do
motion?
you want to have Connie be prepared to give a breakdown of how the budget was arrived at and what it doesn't account for?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I think that makes sense. I think we can't emphasize enough that there are a lot of savings related decisions that can still be made, that will still be made, that aren't in the purview of this group, but could have a big impact.
Sounds good.
Any more committee questions? All right, we're up to public comment. Mr. Jason?
Oh, no.
You probably have to turn the mic on. It's probably off. Just push and hold until it goes solid green.
They'll go green.
Or you can use mine.
Thank you. So hi, I'm Jason, and I want to start by saying that I really appreciate all the work that you've done. I started as part of the committee a year and a half ago, and saw some things in the numbers that made me feel a certain way and thought I would step aside, and you decided you wanted to go to the voters and they told you to keep going, and I kept my mouth shut because you're doing hard work and I don't really go out of my way to be a bias. Now that we're kind of getting to that point again, and it was summer, so I'm not working as much, I kind of jumped back into the numbers. And I believe that iron sharpens iron. And so, I'm not here to be critical so much as to help in my own way, in the way that iron sharpens iron when people in a democracy are trying to work together to solve a problem. But I do have questions and I do see problems. The first couple, there were some little details that I thought I could contribute on. Superintendent agreements are no longer really tuition. It's just that the kid is part of your October count. So the kids who are from other districts, but they're attending our schools, would be part of the number that they put for the number of kids and all the criteria that goes with them. So you wouldn't really see that as revenue necessarily. And then Michelle's question, which was a really good question, why is it that the additional local share burden is so heavily upon us in this region? It's, as you know, it's a combination of the really ridiculous, in my opinion, cost-sharing agreement of 75-25, and the fact that, in addition to that, it's not the local valuation, it's the state valuation. And the way the state valuation works is they look at the most recent sales of property. And so what sells like hotcakes in Hartford? Stuff on water. So we do really get the raw end of the deal, but it's a formula issue that results in that. So some questions that I have in the papers, and they're really good. And for somebody who went to a meeting a couple days ago and shared an opinion, and to show up and see how seriously it was taken or anticipated, I'm wicked impressed and grateful. Thank you. I can see the sincerity and the hard work that's there. It's awesome. My feedback on a couple things is the comparison with 56, of course, is where I work, and I agree that we've done a great job in RSU 56. I'm wicked proud of the work I've been a part of in RSU 56. But I don't know if that chart is maybe a little bit of an exaggeration in the way that it is presented, because enrollments have also changed over that period of time. And what has driven RSU 10 costs, based on my analysis, are special ed costs.
That's the whole state.
It is the whole state, but it can be disproportionate. Like, for example, I compared our budget to Richmond because I noticed your prediction for a superintendent's budget is identical to the current superintendent budget in Richmond. So I thought they must be looking at Richmond. So I went through Richmond. We have 80. Anyway, what they anticipate to spend on special ed in the current fiscal year is $1 million less than what you predicted for this region. $1 million. So that's a big part of what has driven that, and enrollment, and to support my argument, RSU 56 actually has a higher per pupil spending than RSU 10, and you can get those figures on the state. They're put out annually, The per pupil cost in RSU 56 is $20,465.90. The per pupil cost in RSU 10 is $20,271. The sole reason that RSU 10 is lower are just some of the efficiencies of scale at the administrative level. Like, a bigger district spends less per central office administrator just by nature. But my biggest thing is the impact on my tax bill and the tax bill of my neighbors. My question regarding in the pamphlet, it lists the current mill rate in Buckfield as 14.5. I think it's 14.85 when I looked at my tax bill.
The 14.5, I believe, is this coming tax year.
Right, okay, yeah.
Calculated?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
the 14.5.
Sweet. It's going down.
Yeah.
All right. When I did a comparison of the change of mills on my current property value minus the exemptions and all that jazz, in 1 year I was looking at a $1,392.12 increase in 1 year.
Yeah, I got $14.40 at my place.
That's wild. So in the 8 years identified in the snapshot where the cost to run RSU 10 is increased by 61.46%. The entirety of that 8-year period, my tax bill went up by $2,421.50. And the $1,392 is only dependent on school change. So part of that $2,421 is not due to school and just natural increase in municipal that has to happen. So my point is that this figure here says, wow, they're spending so much. But what I'm more concerned about is, well, how much do I have to pay? To me, there's a difference there. I would love for the state to just rain money on children. That would be awesome. They're not going to, especially on us. But my concern, and I'm saying this to you now not to change your mind, but because these are the things I'm going to be saying. I'm not a gotcha person. So if you have an argument that's going to shut me down, I want to hear it. Because I don't see, the increase is crazy to me. I don't understand it. But the bigger concern I have is what's going to happen to my own tax bill. And in 1 year, I'm going to go over $1,000 up to have local control. And that local control is going to include local liability of 2 buildings that Rumford let fall apart. And I think they should have to help pay for it. And you can shake your head at me, and I know we can't make them. I get it. I get the catch-22. I do.
How's the septic coming along?
Oh my gosh. It's maddening. It's maddening.
I know.
I understand what you're saying about money because I'm looking at it. I send my kid to private school because I will not send them here. And I am biased. You guys can say you're not biased, whatever. I am biased. I was a petition person. I want it out because our quality of education in this town is terrible. Since we joined RSU 10, I know the state's failing, but I feel like we're failing even more. I was hoping that we would be able to come here and for a decent amount of money, get our kids back here so we could make a change. And I thought that we would see tons of parents because being in this community, I've heard so many complaints about things. It's unfortunate that nobody is here, but I'd like to see those people. I could justify a few $100.
Yep.
But we didn't do that because it was almost impossible to do this budget. It's not like RSU 10 was forthcoming on a whole heck of a lot of stuff. The state, gives us this, I know there's more money than just the ED 279. Where's Title I? Where's Title II? How is this going to be covered? This is just an estimate. But I think it was worth doing.
Oh, yeah.
By no means do I think anybody should stop this process because I know for a lot of years people have been unhappy with the school district and we do not have a say. And since Dixfield left, it's even worse because we have 30% of the vote, and how many times have we voted the budget down in these 3 towns to be overridden whether it's on policy or budgets, happens time and time again. And I think our kids are worth something, and their education is worth everything. I know I'm not, $1,440 scares the living daylights out of me. I'm hoping we can do better because it's worth it for the kids. And I was hoping in part of this withdrawal reorganization thing, we would get to those conversations on how we could, even though we're not going to be there the next time, I would just love to have a conversation on how we think we could do better. And if everybody came as a community, I think we could. You have a whole heck of a lot of knowledge on how to run a school. I mean, you could share. But I think that, if it's going to be all about the money, then it's not going anywhere. But I think we need to concern ourselves with our kids' education, because right now it sucks.
So I'm going to say two things. First of all, I respect your passion and the amount of time that you put in. You've always put time into what you care about. I knew that as a resident. I thank you. I'm going to stand up a little bit for Hartford Sumner. And I'm a nerd and I like looking at testing data. That Hartford Sumner's achievement compared to other similar demographics in interior Maine, they are still ahead of the curve. Are they to what your expectations are? I'm not saying that. Like I stand in front of my own board a year ago.
I don't have low expectations. I know kids can do a lot more than what they're being expected to.
Yep.
I think the school culture is a big thing. I could go on and on all night.
And a lot of that, I'm not arguing with that. What I'm arguing about is the solution. I don't see this as a viable solution.
What would you say was a viable solution?
I want to know two things. I can tell you, I can answer you. There are two things I want to know. I need the EPS formula is changing. I have to know how and why. Because all the goals about culture will amount to nothing if I can't hire anybody to do it. What's the real effect of that going to be on us? And then number two, the thing that she was talking about, the regional deal, if we could go straight into a regional deal, what that would mean for us is you have your own board with your own policies and your own curriculum, and you share a center that handles the HR and all the other overhead that is part of why your budget's so high. I would want to know if that was possible. Could we get from point A to point B without having to watch my taxes go up and my neighbor's taxes go up by over $1,000 in one fell swoop? That's what I would want to know.
Yeah, well, that ESC thing that she's talking about would be such a complicated mess because we don't have our own individual schools in each town. So how would we mix policy?
Because I think that you don't have to do it by town. I think you can do it by region.
By region?
By region.
Can Connie speak to that?
Yes.
Could Connie, hi, I'm Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Would it be feasible or an interesting exercise in legal theory for 3 towns in an RSU to join the other towns in the RSU and education center, and then share a central office similar to the AOS model used on islands, but have your own board for your own schools?
So the department is discouraging the AOS model because it's failing in too many places, whether it's the island schools or in the county or other places in Maine. They become unwieldy, and many AOSs are blowing apart. So the regional model, I'm not familiar with. I don't think that's one in one of the state governance structures that I mean, I've been working in Maine for 40 years. I don't know that regional model.
Where I'm coming from with that is I know that there is a service center on some scale that districts can be a part of. So what would stop, instead of being 3 towns being part of one, what would stop us withdrawing, becoming a district, but in the same fell swoop, joining an EC, whatever it is, right out of the gate? Like right now, we vote this November, it's, do you want to leave and do you want to start an RSU? Could it be, do you want to leave? Do you want to start an RSU? Do you want to join an ESC and find a partner? Because if you can skip that year or two of total financial liability and get straight to sharing, I think that's more financially viable. I will pay more.
Well, I know that as an RSU, you can join ESCs because we do it at RSU 10.
Right.
But I don't know, I mean, what are the options out there? What can you share? I mean, I know that they share, I don't know,
Trainings.
stuff like that, but that doesn't really add up
Salaries.
to
You
a
need to share
bunch
your business office. You got to share, like, that's
Right.
where the savings
Right.
are.
right?
So I have a question for you, Jason. If we don't withdraw and we stay in RSU 10, your taxes are going to go up anyway.
Not by $1,000 at once.
Well, that's another thing we're keeping rolling too, right?
Okay.
Can I speak to the RSU joining the ESC thing? Just to be clear, that's exactly what we're trying to arrange for. So we've talked to DOE and we've gotten them to commit that they'll accelerate the timeline for us, that if we wish to join an ESC, or I think even create our own and then look for partners, they're going to work with us on the timing for that. So that's an essential part of this whole structure, is that we will identify one or more ESCs for the RSU to join in the first operating year.
Yes.
The only caveat to that from a fiscal standpoint is just that it would take a little while in that first budget year for the money to roll in, just because of the way it's accounted for and reimbursed.
And ultimately, we wouldn't have that figure going into November. We would just, so in theory, people would be voting for them.
Right,
Well,
and
can
that's
you-
one frustrating thing about the budget projection here, is that we don't know yet what ESCs we're going to join, what the savings impact of that is, just for sharing the services in the first place, and then the revenue impact, a bit more money from the state. None of that is being reflected in the budget that is in that withdrawal agreement, and that is showing this significant increase in taxes. That's why we made sure to include in the budget document that it's not accounting for any of that, which we think will have substantial savings over the numbers that are in there, and hopefully bring it down as close as possible to what the three towns would be paying in an increased budget year in RSU 10.
Can you just speak to one thing, because I'm a little confused, because you said if we waited a year and did ESC, we would have to basically withdraw individually as three towns from the new RSU.
Different perspective.
Different structure entirely. So,
But there's
If
a vision where we can
right,
continue on this RSU path and be what we want to be and share services
Yes.
regionally, like Jason's
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
exactly.
So
That's the hope, and the hope is that by doing that, the RSU model works from a structural standpoint without costing a lot more money. Then you know, the other option we discussed would be the withdrawing as the three separate towns and doing an ESC together as those three separate towns. But you don't have to be a municipal school unit to access and join an ESC. You just have to be a school unit, which is why RSU 10, I understand, share services through an ESC, for instance.
So the more you share, the better off you can be. Is it that simple?
Yeah, and that's the premise, is that the ESC, just like RSUs are supposed to, are distributing the costs among multiple entities, and in a way that's proportionate to their need, as opposed to each unit having to foot the bill for that position, that role, that software, whatever it is. And so there's some inherent joining, and then you get the subsidy on top of that, because the state is trying to encourage this model and the cost sharing.
So from day one, I've wondered if, because I don't know the answer to this, is RSU 56 a part of an ESC?
I believe we're part of a regional one at kind of the same level that 10 is right now, not at a huge level. And I'm a I do curriculum for the district, but otherwise I'm just a building administrator. So it would have to be Pam or Mary Daly to get into the weeds of that. And all of that too is relatively new legislation, and it's changing. So
I wondered if throughout this whole process, if it made sense to get a little closer to RSU 56 in terms of what we're talking about. But I'm not totally convinced on how that comes together.
Right.
But
Is it okay if I keep asking questions? Because you can tell me to be quiet anytime and I will.
No,
You
Okay,
can.
ask away. So Connie, is there, so part of what I see as one of the things that scares me, when having lived through it, there are a lot of startup costs that are hard to anticipate. And you also are really banking on, you withdraw in November, you've got a board by December, you find a capable superintendent by January. We were so blessed to find Pam Doane where I work. And then you have the right people in place and they're ready to roll in time to get a budget in front of the voters and start on July 1st. That timeline, that's a fast timeline.
that's the way everybody does it.
I know that.
Okay, so what's the question?
I'm getting.
No, seriously, you're just negative Nelly, Jason, and I knew this was coming from you.
We do have public comment, and we do need to allow our comment.
proceed.
Yeah, go ahead. But I'm not just gonna let them say whatever.
Well,
I'd like to hear
You
what
can
public
tell me
comment.
that, I'm not being as formal as you are in RSU10, I'm sorry.
We all need to.
Debs, get your gavel and shut me down. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Train of thought's a little derailed, but my question is, do you have to, would it be possible to withdraw and create a center with RSU 10 all at the same time? Because then you don't have the startup costs, because on day one, you're already, like, all of your information is already in their computer. All the people who work there already know everything about your schools. That's my question.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that for me? Because I didn't get it. What's your question?
My question is, if can towns who are currently part of an RSU in the same motion withdraw and then join an ESC with the district they just left to share the central office entity so that you don't have the additional startup costs of hiring brand new people and starting from scratch?
So I see Kristen nodding, so I'm going to let her take this one.
Sure. I mean, just like we could join an ESC with RSU 56 or that district across the state, we could join one with RSU 10. I agree that there might be some, ways that would facilitate the transition and maybe make it a little bit cheaper. That said, RSU 10 remains a pretty big district, and I would wonder whether the staff, as it is, would have the ability to take on, particularly with the transitioning of, responsibility of these students, just the additional work that would come with that. Ideally, what you're looking for is you're looking for an RSU that has good capacity and will be able to kind of roll you right in without any issue.
So, Jason, just thank you for reframing your question. I am unfamiliar with any of the districts in Central Maine that offer the kind of services that the new district here would be looking for. And those central offices could be, whether it's superintendent, business manager, payroll, AP, AR, and technology, et cetera. I don't know of an ESC that offers those currently. I don't think RSU 10 does, and I'm relatively sure RSU 56 doesn't. I know the Western Maine Collaborative, which is also an ESC, sort of doesn't offer those services. So I'm unaware of another ESC that offers that relatively close in proximity to this new district.
I think the idea, though, Connie, would be to create one, I think is what you're suggesting. You'd create a new one between RSU 10 and the withdrawing RSU.
And that would, in theory, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, from your train of thought, that would ultimately affect the transition budget, because these people we wouldn't have as many people in a transition role So therefore, the overall tax burden would be lower. Am I correct in that assumption?
I do believe that it's worth asking RSU 10, and I say that because Superintendent Matt Gilbert did let me know, hey, Kristen, your committee, have you decided, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, have you considered an ESC with anybody? I can ask him next time, would that help RSU 10? Because they're going to be faced with decisions about their central office when, if we vote to withdraw, they're going to have to downsize. But if we were to work with them and it would benefit the both of us, it might be something that they would consider. So if this committee would like me to further that conversation with Matt Gilbert, I'm more than willing to do that.
I make a motion for that.
I second.
All in favor?
Okay.
I just have a question for Jason, though. I mean, I feel like something like this would be in any community's best interest to share such resources, and if this RSU was interested in exploring that with RSU 56, wouldn't that also benefit that community?
Mhm.
It's just like trying to scale a business, though.
Yep.
So if you're going to scale your business, there are going to be certain points where you have efficiency of scale and certain points where you're going to go through growing pains. And I think what I predict, the board, we have a really good board in 56, and they would want to know, well, how do you affect our subsidy or maybe no, because that wouldn't matter. In an ESC, it does nothing to do with subsidy because it would be separate. Okay, so then it would just be a question of, with what you're adding to the workload, can we absorb it with our existing capacity?
Right.
Or not?
And ultimately, you would benefit along with us.
Right.
On the ED 279, it's a whole separate line, if I'm not mistaken. If you're part of an ESC, or Connie would probably.
And I just suggest that because we're talking about more of a neighboring community type of thing than RSU 10. I don't know if that regionally makes much difference at all, but just my thought.
It's a fair thought, but just because I work there, in no way do I have the authority.
No, I mean, I'm not asking you because you're employed there. I'm asking because we're literally abutting those communities. Hartford is right up against Canton, for example. So it's interesting to me, and I've thought it many times. So it's a great opportunity to bring it up.
And Sumner abuts Peru.
Well, true, right?
So, yeah.
The other thing too, I just wanted to throw out there as a number, just because we were talking about mill rates. Dixfield current mill rate is 24.35.
That's high.
That's higher than.
That's high, but ours used to be like $23
Right.
until we redid it, and
So-
now it's just.
I'm just saying, I just worked on their website, so.
So they obviously haven't been through a revaluation yet.
Right.
But
So I guess maybe it's been answered and I'm just really slow, but Kristen, Collins, or Connie, whoever can speak to it, if we wanted to either explore that with RSU 56 or RSU 10, as Kristen Chapman is going to look into, what action items would we have on our journey here? Or would you have, or anything like that?
I think what Connie probably could help you with is creating this menu of what you would be looking for to best maximize the utility of the ESC. And then you use that list to approach either of them.
Okay.
To start collectively looking at the numbers and how that might work out.
But that would be something that would not be relevant until after November?
No, I think it should be done now.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it should be done now for a couple of reasons. I think if you can start lining things up in a way that looks good, it's important to explain that to the voters between now and November if we can. And also from DOE's perspective, needing to go through all the motions of approving the new ESC, if there is going to be a new one, that all starts in November, ideally for them.
Okay. Thank you.
What I would add to that is I would ask for RSU 10s and RSU 56. And Kristen, I'll get the word wrong. Is it interlocal memorandum?
Interlocal agreement.
Yeah, I would want to see both of those, which is what the state approved for them to be part of an ESC. And in that interlocal agreement, you'll find the provisions for becoming an associate member, a regular member, and what you have to offer in terms of services that they might be interested in. Because you have to make, there are 4 buckets at the DOE, and within those 4 buckets are different services to become an ESC. And you have to offer to RSU 10 or 56 something that you would have in your new RSU that they would want. So that's a starting place. So Kristen Chapman, as you ask for those from RSU 10, I think that would be something, or 56, something to begin with.
Can I ask a question about what is the difference between, other than that the state will subsidize us, but is there anything keeping us from trying to find, maybe somebody's central office is a little too heavy, but they're, like he was saying about the point of, if our enrollment keeps declining, we may need to cut down on the position. Is there anything keeping us from sharing a payroll with somebody, or sharing a business manager with someone, or sharing any of those with any surrounding district?
No.
The benefit of the ESC is that we would get money from the state on top of that. But, oh geez, I just lost it. But we don't have anything to offer anybody right now. As far as, can you think of something creative we can offer?
Michelle, you're asking me? Can I
Yeah,
think of
I'm
something?
asking you, because you said it's got to be, like, so you have to be part of one of those things. Didn't you just say you had to have something to offer them back?
I did. So you might consider something in the technology world, maybe. Professional development services, gifted, talented, those are services that they may be interested in sharing. Those are all positions that Neil and I kept in the budget and staffed. I think of the other things, there's transportation that you can offer, coordination, maintenance. All of that is something that you might consider offering another district.
Jason?
I would just imagine that if I worked in the central office in Rumford, I'd be excited to have the whole central office still after these 3 towns withdraw. Like, does that count as an offer? That, that the district, I mean, to me, that would be a huge incentive.
It means people aren't getting fired.
Right.
Good point.
It's worth a conversation.
Okay.
Don't forget Judy.
No, I won't forget Judy. I forgot to ask a question during new business, so I'm going to go back there for half a minute. We have had someone donate money for the flyers to be mailed. This person donated $300 for us to be able to mail out our flyers. Where does that money go? Do we give it to Blackfields? Do we put it in the 150,000? Where does it go? Can somebody answer that?
I just speaking randomly, but I think that if they donate, put that right to where we're having the printing done, for example, that would be one way to do it.
Okay.
Or they could buy $300 worth of postage. I don't know.
So my interactions with the U.S. Postal Service this week got a little complex. And Buckfield and Hartford share a zip code, and Hartford doesn't have a post office, so it's just Buckfield. Sumner, we're our own post office, and our town clerk could go and make the payments for the postage. I don't know how Hartford and Buckfield works it out with the one post office who would end up doing that.
Our mail goes through the Sumner post office.
Some of it does. The other some of it comes out of Buckfield. So so what I'm saying is somehow Hartford would have to pay maybe at Sumner and at Buckfield post offices for the routes that takes. It gets complicated. So I think the idea of doing the printing is probably an easier way of handling it, but please know, this cannot go out before the 18th.
Right.
We'll
No
be,
longer there.
That window's closed.
That window is closed.
Right, I just had to ask that question about
That's very generous.
who gets the $300?
Yeah.
Okay,
Was it anonymous, or did
No.
they want?
You want to share?
it's Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
However, once we have the 18th, we're going to have more excellent questions that
Yeah, we
can
will.
inform an updated brochure. But we still need to vote on this.
On the brochure, yes, because we tabled it.
Let Judy speak.
Yes, Miss Judy,
8:30.
I can't hear you very well.
can you hear us now?
Say that again?
It's on the other side.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, better. I don't know. You've been coming through very garbled for some reason. May I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, Michelle expressed a lot of what I feel, that withdrawal is important. I'm just concerned that maybe we may get voted down because of the potential mill rate increase, which Jason mentioned. Jason gave a long speech at our select board meeting the other night, sort of a surprise. He wasn't on the agenda, but he talked about why he was against the withdrawal. And one of our selectmen also spoke very much against withdrawal. That was Azalea Cormier. She thought our education in Buckfield was wonderful. And anyhow, as I said, I do agree very much with Michelle. My only concern is we do have to be sure that the budget is not going to be so much rise so much that it will discourage voters. We could all accept a certain amount of increase, but if it's well, I'm not sure what the mill rate is, how much the mill is this year. Do you know how much increase we're going to have in our towns?
14.5.
Pardon?
14.5.
A mill rate increase?
No,
no,
it went down.
it's just 14.5 as of this October.
Oh, as of this October. Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, Cam was worried that it might go up another 4 mil with a budget that you have come up with.
Well, that's exactly correct.
That is correct.
It would raise to 18.1 under the current projections.
Right. Well, that would affect Brookfield very seriously. Jason Long is correct. I've talked to a couple other people. One would go up 4,000, another 2,500. Mine would go up 2,500. So I don't know what we can do. I'd hate to see it voted down, because if it's voted down, we have to wait another 3 years before we could even start the process again. So I really think it's critical to get that budget down. And well, let's see, a couple of points. It looks as if we tuitioned about 25 students to other schools. And another point. How about SAT 17? Has anyone ever thought of talking to them?
What's that?
I mean, about sharing services. I don't know if they're an ESG, but I know they've had a lot of problems with their own management right now. They've been very concerned, but they do have one town that's thinking of withdrawing, and we used to be very closely aligned with them, and we still are. We own a part of the technology school, and we have adult ed with them. It used to be that we shared bus services, fuel costs, a lot of other things, and they're very close. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
I have a question. If we fail as a group, do we have to wait 3 years to try to withdraw individual town-wise?
I think, no.
I don't know the answer to that.
Kristen?
No. No, the answer is no. And let me remind myself once again what the rule is, but it's not that. Municipality within a regional school unit may not petition for withdrawal within 2 years after the date of a municipal vote on a petition for withdrawal if the petition received less than 45% of the votes cast. On the withdrawal agreement, if the agreement received less than 45% of the votes cast. So you have to, it's not that you fail, first off, it's that you fail to get 45% in favor of withdrawal. And then it's 2 years, 3.
2 years, okay.
One frustrating thing is you would think that you simply couldn't put forward the same option for. So for instance, if this doesn't work as an RSU, but you redoubled your efforts into figuring out how to do it as individual towns, I think even though it's so drastically different from what would have been voted down, you would still be prohibited because it's the withdrawal, not the reorganization.
Right.
Jason, did you have a comment?
I want it on the recording.
I appreciate it. Would Rumford and the rest of them be allowed to try to withdraw from us?
There's nothing stopping them from doing it.
Yeah, nothing stopping.
For the 2 year.
They don't have to wait 2 years.
So in full transparency, that has been rumored. Just rumor.
Did you hear the question, Connie? I mean, Kristen? Collins, did you hear the question?
Yeah,
Jason?
I think what if Rumford withdraws from RSU 10? Yeah, I mean, any of the towns could choose to do that.
I think the question was if the entire region up there tried to withdraw from us as our tri-town region, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That could happen.
That could happen.
You get what you're trying for by default. Yeah.
This might cost you twice, that's all.
Wow. Any more questions?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have to vote?
Nope.
Make sure, can I ask one more question about that?
Okay.
Is what number, because when we were doing the cost sharing, there's a budget in there, and it was 12,000,006, and this one is 12,000,003.
Right, so the 12,000,003 is the most current budget that Connie and I worked on with all the changes. For some reason, when Nick was looking at some numbers, he was looking at one prior to the last one that we had changed. And so once I realized that was happening, I went through and corrected it, sent him the information, and then I went through the weighted share and changed all those numbers as well. So now that's more accurate to the 12,3.
Those are the two that you sent out today?
Yes.
The two attachments?
Yes. And for you two, I'll send a PDF copy so you have it.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept this tri-fold as amended.
So the amendment is the asterisk that we discussed.
The asterisk
And
and meeting date.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Plus any other minor corrections that are,
Just with what the mill rate would
Oh, yeah.
increase to in.
Becky, you made a point earlier.
Steve's question,
So we
say
wanted to
Right.
just
put the
say
date
that.
the year range for the current mill rate? Because it says, that I should say, get rid of the word current and say 26.27 mill rate.
Right.
Gotcha.
I second that.
All in favor? Okay. Now, Jason, I'll entertain your other motion.
Jason?
Oh.
Sorry.
She's trying to drag you on.
I'm trying to get you back here.
We want, yeah, they're trying to get you back in.
Yes?
Nothing, we're good?
No comments from the lawyers? No? Okay.
Nope.
Thank you all. Motion to adjourn?
Second?
There you
Have a
go.
good night, everyone, thank you.
Good night. What am I putting back here? What am I putting back here?
You do not.
Meeting, this is where I'm going meeting, so I can.
Yeah, I was confused by that too. So, who made the comment about the thing on the back?